the sounds of war, a constant in the lives of the men, women, and children who found themselves besieged in the city of Leningrad during the Second World War. But in late summer 1942, these starving, weary, and exhausted people gathered to listen to a very different sound echo through their dying city, letting even their vicious German besiegers know that they had a pulse and wouldn't go quietly to their doom. This is their story. For 6 months, Russia's great northern city had been under a brutal siege. Along the canals lay heaps of bodies, starved and skeletal. With supplies cut off, the people of Leningrad were eventually reduced to eating rats, horses, cats, and dogs. There were also even reports of cannibalism. And while hunger plagued the residents, the Luftwaffe German Air Force attacked them from above, carrying out frequent heavy raids, reducing the buildings to rubble. The survivors drifted through the once great city like ghosts through the fog. Every day was a constant struggle, as just outside they could hear the constant thundering of the German artillery guns, as Hitler's army looked to break or starve the former jewel of the Russian Empire, Leningrad, formerly known as St. Petersburg. However, through all the chaos and suffering, one man, a classical conductor named Karl Eliasberg, had received an unexpected request to put on a special concert, performing a new symphony by the composer Dmitri Shostakovich in the city's Grand Philharmonic Hall, as a way to perhaps boost the morale of the people of Leningrad in these dire times. He had a bit of a problem though. Of his original orchestra, only 14 musicians were left, the rest dead from fighting, starvation, or disease. So he set out to recruit replacements, knocking on door after door looking for anyone who could play an instrument, while others were soldiers themselves brought from the front lines. Slowly but surely, he had his new orchestra. They were battered and starving, but many of them were moved to tears when they brought out their old concert clothes, their violins, their cellos, and their flutes. At the first rehearsal, the musicians were so weak from starvation that they could only practice for 15 minutes, with some even fainting from hunger and exhaustion. They practiced several weeks through the pain of hunger and interruptions from German air raids, but they stuck it out. And on the evening of August 9th, 1942, the great moment had arrived. Just before the concert, though, the Soviet army conducted a vicious bombardment of the German lines in order to silence the German guns so the concert could take place uninterrupted. Eliasberg himself had to be dragged to the concert hall on a sled, he was so weak. His body beyond weak, but his resolve stronger than ever, as he emotionally addressed the crowd before the concert. "Comrades, a great occurrence in the cultural history of our city is about to take place. In a few minutes, you will hear for the first time the 7th Symphony of Dmitri Shostakovich, our fellow citizen. He wrote this great composition in this city during the days when the enemy was insanely trying to enter Leningrad, when the fascist swine were bombing and shelling all of Europe, and Europe believed the days of Leningrad were over. But this performance is a witness to our spirit, courage, our readiness to fight. Listen, comrades." Then the symphony began, and the music of Dmitri Shostakovich, the Soviet Union's greatest composer, filled the air of the broken streets of Leningrad. As the orchestra played on, many wept with grief, others with pride and determination that they would never, ever give in to the German onslaught. They would hold out and survive or die with their city, determined not to give the Germans the satisfaction of their surrender. As the performance reached its finale, many of the musicians were exhausted, but the crowd willed them on, rising to their feet. Not a soul remained seated. One woman recalled her experience, saying it was impossible to listen while sitting down. When the performance ended, the hall exploded with applause, lasting by some accounts for up to an hour. The people of Leningrad had been stirred into a frenzy of pure determination and survival against the onslaught of the German war machine. The impact wasn't just a boost for morale in the city, but thanks to large radio loudspeakers, the Germans surrounding the city heard every note, sending a very real and eerie feeling that Leningrad would never fall. The evening after the performance, the now thoroughly exhausted Karl Eliasberg, the man responsible for this extraordinary event, wrote in his journal, "The whole city had found its humanity, and in that moment we triumphed over the soulless Nazi war machine." The people of Leningrad would go on to endure another year and a half of the siege before the Soviet army broke through the encirclement in January 1944. By then, 750,000 civilians are estimated to have died in the city. There is something truly remarkable about this little-known chapter in the Second World War, a testament to humanity itself, that even during the darkest days of the most brutal and bloodiest conflict in human history, the human spirit finds a way, stronger than starvation, fear, the ideologies of leaders and governments, and even of death itself. So there you have it, the story of the Leningrad concert of 1942. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe, and comment with any other video ideas you might have for me. And have a wonderful day.